Well, the Minsk peace process was meant to provide a diplomatic solution to the conflict in eastern Ukraine. It called for a comprehensive ceasefire in the Donbass region between Ukraine's government and Russian-backed separatists in parts of Donetsk and Luhansk. Foreign troops were told to leave, and under the agreement, the separatist-held areas were meant to receive a decree of autonomy from Ukraine. The ultimate goal was to bring occupied areas back under the central government. But Moscow interpreted the agreement differently. Russia says it was not party to the conflict nor the terms of the agreement. And fighting along the line of control has never really stopped since it was signed back in 2015. Let's speak to Michael Bociurkiw. He's a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Centre and a former spokesman for the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe. He joins us from Lviv in Ukraine. Thank you for your time. Let's start first with your reaction to Vladimir Putin's fiery speech last night, where he formally recognised these two breakaway regions of Ukraine controlled by these Russian-backed separatists. Did you see this coming?
Good to be with you. Yes, I saw it coming, actually. I've been predicting it for weeks that President Putin would take formal control over a territory he's actually been controlling informally since 2014 through the Russian-backed thugs. The speech last night was nothing short of blood-curdling. It was coming from a man who I believe has no intention at stopping at the so-called front line dividing the occupied and government control areas of Ukraine. Is the big fear here at the moment is that he will actually try and take control of the other parts of Luhansk and Donetsk. They basically control at the moment about 1/3 of those two oblasts. And then another possibility is to move further south and create that land bridge between Russia proper and Crimea. So this has a long way to play out, and I don't believe the sanctions announced so far by the White House will do anything to deter him.
The US and the West saying this means Russia effectively has torn up the Minsk agreements. Do you think that's the case?
Well, they haven't respected the Minsk agreements since the day it was signed. I was here in Ukraine in 2014, 2015, when Minsk 1 and 2 were signed. Look, it was basically an agreement that was forced down the throat of the Ukrainian side. The Ukrainian side has legitimately argued that what was the big problem with Minsk is the sequencing. In order for them to do that controversial act of granting some autonomy to the occupied regions, they wanted control of their border first, the Ukrainian-Russian border. That was never handed to them by the Russians. And the other problem with Minsk is that removal of heavy weaponry, I think it's section number 2 or 3, never really happened. Both sides did not respect that. So hence, we had a very, very volatile front line and no real ceasefire.
It was, though, to an extent, the only framework for diplomacy. So what does that mean going forward? Is diplomacy even possible now?
Well, if diplomacy was on the floor 2 days ago, I said it was in the basement yesterday, it's down the drain now. Clearly, Putin is not listening to the statements coming out of the rules-based international world. He is going to choose his own path, and I think there should be a wake-up call to the entire world that he is a thug that wants to see his own way, that wants to remake the international security structure of Europe. It's, again, a very, very chilling development.
The OSCE monitors patrolling the front lines of those breakaway regions. They've been reporting ceasefire violations along the border since 2014, since the Minsk agreement was signed. What does this move by Russia now mean for their role in the region now? What happens to those observers?
Great question. Well, a couple of things there. I mean, first of all, about 10 days ago, the big actors in the OSCE, the United States, United Kingdom, Ireland, Denmark, actually withdrew their nationals from the mission. That would have been over 100 monitors of a group of 600. So that basically almost decapitated the mission and its ability to perform its mandate. The second thing is, if these two areas are now declared so-called independent, they're no longer part of the 57 member states of the OSCE. So my guess would be, and I haven't seen anything from the OSCE yet on this, is that they need to move out of their immediately for political reasons, but mostly for security reasons. And that robs the world. I can't overstate this. It robs the world of the eyes and ears of the international community in those occupied areas. We won't be able to see anymore with human eyes what's going on, what weaponry is being moved, the humanitarian impact, and crucially, the OSCE will no longer be able to facilitate repair of critical infrastructure.
Really interesting to get your take on the events, the fast-moving events of recent hours. Michael Bociurkiw, non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council's Eurasia Centre and a former spokesman for the Organisation for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Thank you for your time.